Hey, this is JT, and in this video we're going to be beginning our back lever progression tree. Now the back lever is a fairly advanced exercise. You may never actually get to a full back lever, which is okay. On the way to the back lever, what we're going to be doing is building some serious posterior chain strength, specifically focusing on the posterior core in the early stages. Building that core strength is really important because most people, if they address core at all in their training, they address the anterior core, the front of the body, sit-ups, crunches and things like that. And then what happens is they don't really address the posterior core, and that can create imbalances. But strengthening the posterior chain and the posterior core, it helps reduce low back pain in a lot of people. It can get rid of hip pain, a lot of issues that people deal with. This will help get rid of those things. And at the same time, this is going to help make a lot of the other movements that you do, a lot of the other exercises that you perform easier. So in the early stages of this progression specifically, we're really going to be focusing on that area. And we're going to begin with Superman hold, which is a very basic, simple to perform static hold, where what we're going to do is lay flat on the ground, and then we are just going to arch up, lifting the front of the body and lifting the back of the body while the hips stay planted on the ground. And when you do this, you're not simply bending at the lumbar spine. What I want you to focus on is reaching out and up, and with your toes, pointing your toes, and with your legs reaching out and up. So rather than just bending at the lumbar spine, think about reaching out and up with the front of the body, out and up with the back of the body, like Superman flying. And what's going to happen is you're going to want to think, like I talked about multiple times, if you've seen the other videos, there is a mental component to strength training. This is not meathead training. There is a mind-muscle connection. There's an awareness of how the body's moving, and you really do have to be mentally present and thinking in order to get the movements right. With this particular movement, your glutes should be activated. You should be squeezing the cheeks. Your hamstrings should be activated. They should be tight. So you're basically going to have tension in the hamstrings, tension in the glutes and the calves, and you're pushing out with the legs. And then at the same time, tension in the shoulders, chest is up. You're going to feel tension there. Arms are out. So when I demonstrate this, remember full body tension and be thinking about glutes, hamstrings, calves. Be thinking about those things. And when you're performing the hold, do you feel the tension throughout the entire posterior chain? And you should feel tension. You shouldn't be loose anywhere. So that's what I want you to keep in mind once you actually get on the ground and perform this particular movement. So let's get to it. Simple movements can often build quite a bit of strength, and this is one of those movements. You're going to lay flat on the ground. You're going to place your arms straight out to the front, legs behind you. You can put them about shoulder width apart, and you're going to point the toes. And when you point your toes, when you're getting ready to come up, I'll do the back half first. So when you're getting ready to come up, you're going to be tense the quads, tension in the hamstrings, in the glutes, in the calves. So you want to have tension in that area. Now, the glutes, as the legs come up, it'll be easier to get them engaged. So when you're laying down and you first put tension in the legs, you won't feel it in the glutes as much as you do the hamstrings and the quads. So point the toes, and then you start to elevate. And as you come up here, this is where you'll really start to feel it in the glutes. You can do this a few times to practice getting used to providing tension throughout the lower body. And then with the upper body, what you're going to do is reach out, just like Superman. You're going to reach out. You can make fists if you prefer, which helps you maintain tension. But you're going to reach out and up with the shoulders like this. So you will actually feel tension throughout the trapezius muscles, the top of the back. So you're going to point the toes, tension in the lower body, lift up the front of the body. Your full abdominals should be on the ground still. Your chest should be slightly off the ground, that you're not putting a ton of pressure on the lumbar region of the back. And you're going to hold this position. This is a isometric hold. full body tension. You're going to hold like this, and what's going to happen is, and you may not think this when you first get down, but you're going to start to feel a burn throughout the shoulders, throughout the trapezius muscles, throughout the lower body as well. But as you hold that, we're strengthening the posterior core, but what you're going to find is you're going to find muscles working throughout the whole posterior region, including the shoulders up in this area, that when looking at somebody performing that exercise, you probably wouldn't even think are getting any work. So this kind of reinforces that in bodyweight strength training, just about everything we do is benefiting a majority of the body, because everything that you're doing is utilizing musculature essentially from head to toe. So that's kind of a theme to keep in mind when you're doing hollow body push-ups. You are actually strengthening the posterior of the body as well, to a degree, a smaller degree, but it's still happening. And when you're doing these, you're going to start feeling that in the front of the core as well. So almost everything we're doing, something may be designed more for training the posterior, but you're still strengthening the anterior as well. And generally it's going to be strengthening from head to toe. So to me, that's one of the coolest things about this style of training, is that when we talk functional fitness, and that term gets thrown around a lot, but I really don't think there's any more functional style of training that you could be doing than exactly what we're doing right now.